Well, hello, welcome again to our reading of selections from the Symposium of Plato, and I got up to just after the beginning of section 179. So he continues on here, 4. So eron ga aner hyperpaidikon aphthenai e lipon taxin e hopla apobelon heton ande pudexaito e hyperpanton turnalon kai protuto tethanai an polakis heloito. Slightly intricate sentence here. So for a man being in love, now we need to go to the dexaito an. Literally, he would accept it less. So he would find it less acceptable being to be seen by his lover, by his beloved. And then we get various A's. We've got to be careful with the A's here. So to be seen by him either having left his taxin, his post, aorist, a participle from lapo, or having cast away his weapons. So he would find it less acceptable that if he did all that he was seen by his lover, and then we get another A, than understands to be seen by all the others. Kai protuto tethanai, and the another heloito, optative here, and on most occasions, polakis, oftentimes, he would choose. This is from hiereo in the middle. It's an optative aorist middle, meaning to choose. Hiereo is to take, hiereo in the middle is to choose. So oftentimes he would choose to die protutu rather than that is, rather than being seen by his beloved having done unmanly things. Kai main en katalipain get apaidika e me bo e thesai kindu nuanti, and then the grammar breaks off a little bit. I'll just do that bit. And indeed, we have to understand he would rather choose to die than, in fact, to have deserted his lover, or not to have assisted him, but I understand an auto here, kindu nuanti, being in danger. Udes hutokakos hon tina uk an autos ho eros en theon poiese e pros aretain. Hosti homoion enai to aristo fuse. Nobody would be thus base, so thus cowardly, so no one would be so base or cowardly whom Eros himself would not literally make entheon, well, to make him inspired, literally to have a god within, and that's what the meaning of inspire is, really. So nor would anyone be so base that Eros himself would not inspire him to virtue, so as to be literally equal to, or like to, perhaps I should say like to, so as to make him to be like to a man who is the best fusei by nature. To make him like to the man who is by nature the best. Kai atek nos ho efe homeros. We get a quotation here, menos em pseusai eniois ton hereon ton theon. Tuta ho eros tois eros si pareke gignomenon per autu. So the arteknos is well, it means it's absolutely true. It's not debatable. it is absolutely true, that which Homer said, and then we get a partial quotation here from Iliad 19, 482. Menos, so it means that when Homer says that the subject of this is the god, so the god breathes or inspires or breathes menos, perhaps fury, to certain ones of the heroes. And Eros provides this for lovers, this thing gignominon. So this is referring back to the menos, which is a neuter noun. So Eros provides this thing, this strength to lovers. Well, it's emanating from himself, so coming to being from himself. Interesting, just side comment here, that in the Spartan dialect, the word for erastes, for lover, is espenelas, which has got that sense of being inspired of the peneo root, which is connected back with what's happening here, the empenusai. So in the next little paragraph here, kaimein huper apothneskein ge monoi ethelusi hoi erontes, u monon hotiandres alakai hai gunaikes. And indeed, lovers alone wish to die on behalf, understand, of their beloved. Now the hoti is slightly awkward here, and it may be a conflation of a couple of different idioms here. You can just supply Lego and pull it out the front, and that would make the translation a bit easier. So I say that it is not only men, but also women. So this refers not only to men, but also women. And he brings in the example of Alkestis. So Alkestis' husband is doomed to die, but he has the option of finding somebody who will die in his place. And you undoubtedly know from the Alkestis play of Euripides the story of this, but the husband's parents refuse to die on his behalf, but Alkestis offers to do it. She dies, but then Heracles turns up and manages to rescue her from death. So the tutu, now the tutu really, I suppose, goes with the 2D2 logu as well. It's a slight repetition, slightly pleonastic here. So the thing I'm referring to, that's the tutu. So of the thing I'm referring to, even Alkestis, the daughter of Peleus, provides sufficient evidence regarding this matter with regard to the Greeks. Ethelesa se mone hupetu tu autes andros apothanen. Wishing, she being the only one who was willing to die on behalf of her own husband. So it's the hautes here for hautes, it's the reflexive. Onton auto patros tekai metros. Now we get two nouns in the genitive here, and then a plural participle. So it's genitive absolute here, and plural participle because there are two subjects here. So literally a father and a mother existing for him. So it's something like when he had a father and a mother. Those whom ekene she, huper ebaleto, something like surpassed, I think. She outdid tos uton to such an extent, te philia, in her devotion, in her love, or perhaps in her devotion, diaton erota, on account of eros, perhaps, or on account of love, Hosti apodexai autus, well, something like to show them, to make them appear, being foreigners, for in regard to their son. Huie is a dative from huios. In Attic Greek, it's treated like a third declension, as a third declension. Now, in later Greek, New Testament Greek, you get huios, it becomes a second declension noun, but here it's the third declension from huios. Showing them, it's almost making them appear to be like foreigners in regard to their son, and prosekontas, related only onomati in name. And of course, if you read the play of Euripides, which I highly recommend to you, then you'll get the full story of this. Kai tout ergesamene to ergon huto kalon edoxen ergasasthai umonon anthropois alakai theois hosti polon pola kai kala ergasmenon in arithmetois de tissi edosan tutogeras hoi theoi ex haidu an enai palintem psuken alaten ekenes enesan agathentes to ergo. So a long sentence here. So she having wrought this work, so she having done this deed in this way, she seemed to have done the work well, in a noble way, not only before men, but also before the gods. So with the result that, now we get a genitive absolute here. Now the subject is the, so when many things, many beautiful things, when many people have wrought many beautiful things, the gods gave this privilege, this geras, to certain ones, in fact, euarithmetos. Now, euarithmetos means easily counted, in other words, small in number. So if it's easy to count, it means there's not many of them. And the tisin here, dative plural from tinos. So just to do that bit again, so that when, although many people perform many beautiful acts, the gods give this privilege only to a certain small number of them. And that being an anai, to go up. This is the infinitive from Amy Ibo. So to go up again, for their soul, I should say, to return, to go up again, ex haidu, from the house of Hades. You've got to supply the house of here, of course. Hades is a person, so it's from the house of Hades. But agasthentes to ergo, this is from agamai. So being so, so having admired the, hang on, no. I see. Sorry, they raised up. Yeah, this is a verb here. So they raised up the soul. Understand the tain is going with the psukein. They raised up the soul ekenes of that one, that is Alkestis, admiring, so having shown admiration for her deed, to ergo. Slightly tricky bit there. Huto kai theoi tain periton ero to spudain to kai eretain malis to timosi. For thus the gods Timosi honour The spudane, this is the zeal, or the keenness, and the arete, the virtue regarding love, malesta most of all. So for thus the gods honour most of all the zeal regarding ton erota, regarding the lover, or regarding love, I should say, and its virtue. Now he gives a second example here. It's a sort of a non-example. He says, Orphea de ton oi agru tele apepempsan ex haidu. Phasma dexantes ten gunaikos ephain haken auten de udontes, hoti maltha kidzesthai doke, hati own kitharoidos kai tolman henekatua rotus apothenesgain hospe Alkestis, aladia makanasthai zone as eni as haidu. So they sent away Orpheus, the son of Oeagrus, tele. Well, it's something like empty-handed, not completed. So empty-handed is probably good here. From the house of Hades, having shown a phasma, a ghost almost, an image, having shown him an image of his wife, after whom he had come, but not giving her, understand, to him. Hoti, because edoke he seemed to be maltha kidzesthai, to have been, well, malthakos, it means, it can in later Greek mean effeminate. It's got that sense of not manly here. I'm not sure quite exactly how to translate this here. Malthakos becomes malakos. It means unmanly, weak, cowardly. Perhaps cowardly here might be the sort of lacking a backbone might be a good translation, because he seemed to be lacking in a backbone. Hearty own, now this is an idiom, hearty plus participle, inasmuch as being, this is a common, in prose, this is a common construction here, hearty own, inasmuch as being a kithoidos, the player of the kithara, so a musician, and he did not, and not to dare, this is an infinitive, to die on behalf of or on behalf of love, as Alkestis did, but to have contrived, do you make an asthai, sown while still alive, ace Eni, to go down into the house of Hades. Now this is definitely, you've got to supply oikon. Ace doesn't take a genitive, so it's ace oikon haidu, into the house of Hades. Toi gartoi, nice particle here, meaning accordingly, diatauta dikain aute epithesan, they placed, so because of these things, they placed the penalty for him, so they punished him basically, they gave him the penalty, and they made the death of him genesthai to take place at the hands of women. Now the story here is, of course, that Orpheus's wife, Eurydice, or Eurydice, died of a snake bite, and Orpheus thought that he could charm those below and allow her to live. So he goes down to Hades thinking he can play his lyre and charm them into allowing him to take his wife back. This they agreed on, but on the condition that he did not look back at her until they reached the earth. He could not resist looking back, and hence lost her forever. And he was later torn to pieces by women, by maenads, by crazy women. So uk hosper Achillea, ton tes Phaidros huon, and it continues on. So not like Achilles, ton huon. Now this is it's a funny word. This huios. This is looking like now it's got a second declension ending. We saw it with the third declension dative before. It's an irregular noun in Attic Greek. It gets regularized later, but it's just the accusative from huios here. So not like Achilles, the son of Thetis, Time san es makaron nesus apepempsan, hoti pepus menos parates metros hos apothanoito apoktenes Hektora, me poieses de tuta oikadielthon Geraios telutesoi, etomesen helestai, bo ethesas to eraste Patroklo, kai timoresas umonon huper apothanen alakai ep apothanen tetelu tekoti. So long bit here. So Achilles. So the last word we had here was etimesan. They honoured, so not in the way that they honoured Achilles, the son of Peleus, and apepempsan, they sent him off into the islands of the blessed ones. These are the famous Isles of the Blessed, where certain heroes, Heracles gets to go there. This is an alternative to going to Hades. Now this is interesting because, of course, in Homer, he doesn't get sent to the Isles of the Blessed. He gets sent to Hades, and he's in Odyssey, I think it's book 9, he's complaining about the fact that life there is terrible in Hades, and he'd rather have been a slave upstairs than to spend one more minute down here in Hades. But anyway, here in this version, he gets sent to the Isles of the Blessed, because Pepus Menos, having perceived, this is a perfect passive from Punthanamai, having perceived from his mother that apoktenas Hektora, if he killed Hector, he would perish, he would die. But not having done this, if he didn't kill Hector, then having come, telutesoi, this is an optative, he would end, having come home, he would end his life, Geraios, as an old man. So you either kill Hector and die young, or you don't kill Hector and you go home and you die an old man. But etomesan, he dared Helestai, there's that hell root again from Hyreo, to choose, having rendered aid to his lover Patroklos. So Patroklos is seen as the Erastes here, and having gotten revenge, not only did he die on his behalf, that is Patroklos' behalf, but also he died afterwards, after Patroklos, who had died. It's the dative perfect participle here from telutao, which means to come to an end and hence to die. Now, of course, in Homer, there is no romantic relationship between Patroklos and Achilles, although there's a very, very deep personal relationship. It's not erotic there. In later Greek, it becomes erotic, and in fact, Patroklos, who is the elder, is seen as the Erastes, and hence Achilles, who's the younger. So generally it's thought Achilles would, in the myth, in the story, would have been perhaps 19, 20, perhaps a little bit older at this point. So he's not really a young boy, he's an slightly older fellow, but Patroklos is older still, and he's the Erastes. So that's the end of that section, and we'll continue this in the next recording.